Welcome to Empyrion Galactic Survival Alpha 11, and here we are. We're up on top of my capital vessel. Everything looks very green due to the green sun. And before I get into what I want to do in this video, a little bit of an update. What I've actually done is I've taken off from the planet where we were down exploring POIs, and I've now moved over towards the moon number 1, because this is the moon that's actually got zirconium on it. And in the next part, that's where we're going to be going and exploring just to get the zirconium. That assumes everything works well in this video, because this video I'm going to conduct the experiment that I've been dropping hints about now for a couple of videos, and the reason why I've actually created a new CV. And that is, I want to take a look at CV to CV docking. I have an idea for Alpha 12 where I want to build a composite ship. I just really want to get the process clear in my head. And I know I could have done it in creative mode, and I did do a couple of practice runs in creative mode, but I didn't do the whole full cycle. But I have a suspicion that it may work slightly different in creative mode from real game survival mode. So I want to do it for real in here, and I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to try and do it. Now, I accept that this could be probably one of the most expensive mistakes I've made in the game if it doesn't work, and because some of it is actually guesswork. But we're going to find out, and I suppose probably the best way to do is if we can stand right on the front of the ship, I might be able to spawn in the new capital vessel there. I'm just going to put that in. This is Spanj's ship, and what I'm going to do is we're going to probably need to power up. So let me just get into, now I've got to transfer some of my SVs to the new ship anyway. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up some fuel. We're going to need to fuel up the new ship. So what we're going to do is ship stores. I think we're, how much can I get in? We can get 136 of those in, and 150 of those. Wow. We're going to power up the ship. What I'll do is I'll give you a bit of a view from the outside. Now, this is an experiment that Spanj conducted on providing a capital vessel with docking facilities. And if we move in close, you will see along this side here, and there's 3 on each side, these actually represent docking facilities. If I drop down a bit, you'll see that each one of these has a door. And I think the idea that Spanj was experimenting was to have small ships that could come up and dock to here, like specialist ships like shuttles and things like that. And I think he's on the right track, and I really like the idea. Now, if we fly round the front here, we've got some weapon systems on the front. I'm not sure what's actually in the front of the ship here, whether there's anything to do with the internals of the ship. I must admit, I haven't completely explored the ship in its own right. And what we're going to do, come around here, because the main bridge section is at the rear here. And what you'll see is there's like a primary landing pad here. And if I drop down, you'll see there's a hangar deck. We're going to have some fun with that hangar deck, because that hangar deck is intended for holding hover vehicles. Although I do have a few possible reservations about the size of the hover vehicle that I've got. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here. Oops. Okay. I have to level the ship first. What I'm going to do is dock the SV into here. Oops. This is going to be fun. It'll be fun and incredibly embarrassing. Actually, he's put small docking pads down here. This is only a small ship, so maybe I fit this in here. Okay, I can get in here. And we've got the docking. And I'm just going to power off. And you better put on the And what I'll do before we do anything else, I'll just give you a quick tour of the ship. Jetpack off. Oops. I suppose I better get some fuel in here. Wow. I had a feeling this was going to draw a lot of fuel. And hopefully now, if I take the jetpack off, we'll have some generators in here. See, this has got a very big bridge. And just to show you how it flies, I'm just going to bring the ship round. That hopefully we're going to... I don't think this is going to win any awards for mobility. I'm not sure having that sun right in front is going to be useful. So what I'm going to do is turn the ship this way a little bit. See, the maneuverability is very slow. So you can hardly see if the ship is moving, actually, to be honest. Anyway, to just level it off, come in here. Looks like we're actually only on half thrusters. Okay, let's just go to full thrusters. Yeah. I think there might be a slight... That gives me a little bit better maneuverability, although it's quite difficult to see what we're actually moving. I've got a feeling... Just get in here, turn the thrusters off. And let me just see, I've got a feeling what's actually... Yeah, it's... Wow. That is a lot of thrusters. 70 thrusters. I'm kind of inclined, I'm just going to do an auto group. I don't think Spanj has done anything special here, so I'm just going to do an auto group like that. That should pull all the thrusters into one part. Just to give you a bit of a tour, we got a number of cargo containers. I think they're all pretty good. I mean, there's a lot of carry capacity on this ship. I think there's 2 lots of 280, and then we've got here cargo container large. These are only 16, so we've got 2 large container areas, and then we've got a number of cargo boxes. I'm particularly worried about that. Fuel tanks, we've got 22 fuel tanks. Tractable gear, and I'm not sure what the defenses are like here. And predominantly miniguns. So, well, they're okay, but I probably would prefer to turn those into cannons. And of course, we've got a full warp capability, is what this ship is. Now, what I probably need to emphasize is that this ship is really going to be the carry ship rather than the main operational ship. Well, for the rest of this Let's Play, but I thought I'd just give you a bit more of a tour. As I say, this was very much an experiment that Spanj was conducting. You can come down here, and you see this walkway through here. I really like the idea of this walkway. I think Spanj is really onto something here. And these will be the access ports to the ships that will dock alongside here. And we're just going to go right along the front. And I do like this format. And I've got no idea what's in the front here. Looks like we've got a machine room here. This is where some of the storage are. We've got a constructor. I'm not sure what type of constructors we've got in here. Yeah, we've got 2 large constructors and a small constructor, so there's no actual advanced constructor in here. In fact, let's just have a look at the CPU stats. So he's gone very close to tier 3, so strictly speaking, if I tried to put in an advanced constructor in here, it would probably take it to tier 4. So he's built a lot with just a tier 3 ship. And this is our shield generator. It's quite unusually, he's put the shield generator right in the front of the ship. Anyway, so let's just get back through this long walkway. I'm not sure what's on this floor. Let's just have a look on what's on this floor. We've got engineering down here. And we've got an O2 station. Caution hot. I've got a feeling this goes through into... We've got a large generator here, we've got thrusters here. So this is probably not a good place to hang around. So despite the size, this is a relatively basic ship, but it will serve the purposes of what I want to do. Anyway, let's just get down. So I'm just going to go right up to the top. Oops. And I've managed to get lost in the ship. This is the... We got back this way. Yep. We've got to skip across here. So the task for this video is to dock the Wayfarer and all my ships to this, because I don't know if you're completely aware, but one of the rules for docking is that you can't dock a ship that's already got a ship docked to it. So what you've actually got, you can only have one layer of docking to the primary ship. So for the moment, say for example with the Wayfarer, it's a bit too far away now, isn't it? I mean, yeah, we'll have to use the... So I can't currently dock the Wayfarer to this ship because it's got the other ships actually docked to it. So the object of the exercise is what do I need to do before I can actually dock the Wayfarer to the new ship. What we're going to do is just cut it out. We're going to have to rotate in like this. The next thing we're going to do is just in here and drop down. To here. Power you off. Then we can jump out. And off you. And we're going to power up. And the first thing we're going to do is try and get a common orientation between the two ships. That is going to be quite important. Although I'm not, it's going to be quite difficult to actually see. And what I'm going to do is turn the Wayfarer around a little bit. This will make sense in a little while. Just turn around. Yeah. And what I really need to do is get these two ships into common plane. As I say, I could make myself look a total idiot with this, and if any of you got experience with docking to capital vessels, you might have a pretty good idea what I'm actually up to at the moment. But the first things I want to do is just get a general orientation here, forward a bit, and just get you exactly lined up. And okay, what I need to do now is actually transfer my SVs to the new ship, because while these are docked on here, I cannot dock the CV. So what we're going to have to do again is just come into here. And this is why Spanj and other people have been experimenting with direct docking. But the real challenge is going to be getting the CV in. And if we can drop this in here, and we're just going to come here. This will be your primary position. And I'm just going to turn the power off. on. I want to look at the edge of this. Apologies for the horrible green. Is there a... No. There's no actual railing on this bit here. Okay. You can see that the entrance is already open. And what I'm going to do is we'll just jump in the Arctic Cat and power you up. And hopefully we will be able to dock you on this other side. Although I'm a little bit worried about the wings. I must admit, I do like this idea of having the small pads slightly detached and also slightly hidden, because if this ship got into combat, yeah, this could be a little bit tricky. Nope, it's docked. Thank you. And jump out again. And of course, the next thing we need to do is pick up the Merc. I'm going to power you up. Now we're kind of getting to the tricky point, because what am I going to do with the hover vehicle? The question is, do I get the try and put the hover vehicle in the hangar, or do I put the hover vehicle on top? And the question is then what do I do with the Merc? I think what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to put the Merc on the... I think for the moment, I'm not sure. I want to keep both options open for the moment. I know this isn't what you could call an official docking position, but can I dock on top of this nacelle here? Because in theory, as long as I can get the undercarriage to make contact with the ship, yep, that actually worked. Yeah, thank you. You're always telling me my oxygens. That's now the easy bit. Now what we've got here. Now this has got a ramp, and this has got a ramp. So the question is, do I go from hangar to hangar? Yeah, we're going to give hangar to hangar a go. This could be a little bit interesting. What I still want to do is make sure, this ship is completely level. So let's just get into here. The thrusters on. I'm not going to power up the oxygen or anything just yet. What we're going to do is, so that, according to this, I'm pressing the O key, and that is perfect. It says it's perfectly orientated. Okay. So I'm going to take your word for it, game. Yep. So what we're going to have to try and do now, to transfer the hover vehicle between the two ships, I'm going to have to try and maneuver the Wayfarer so that the two ramps are both extended and kind of interlocked. Now I've got no idea how this is going to work. I've never done this before, so apologies if this may drive some of you insane. And what we're going to do is, let's drop down. If we press the Alt key, so we're going to need to come back a little bit, aren't we? Oops, no. We're going to need to just make sure you are. This is going to have to be a little bit of guesswork. I'm going to back you up. How's that? Nope, still too far away. A little bit low. bit. Because if I back up, so there, what's that? Nope, still not anywhere, not even close. Maybe if I back up. Okay. We should be touching, virtually touching now. Yep, that's too close. Let's move it apart. Right, that one's extended. My other one isn't, and the ship's still a little bit high. So if we, there's a very real possibility if I get this wrong, my hover vehicle will disappear. It's very difficult to tell. Whoops. This. Let's get this. Drop this down a smidge. Back a little bit. See. Maybe if this should be a little bit higher. You need to be. I think we'll give that a go first and just see what that looks like. So it looks like we've got a little bit of a. This should work in theory. My main concern is whether this angle of this may be a problem. Okay, we're gonna go for it. Power up. I think we'll try and get as much height as possible. And I've actually managed to do it. I think there's one slight problem though. I don't think this hover tank actually fits in here. No, I've got a problem now because it's not gonna. Great. Yeah, this hover tank is too big for the docking. Great. Now the problem is I'm not going to be able to get back. How am I going to get this back? I suppose. Right. I can't move because I'm trapped by the hangar door, aren't I? So let this be an object lesson. Before you move, before you transfer hover vehicles between two ships, make sure you measure them first. I think if we can retrieve that up there, I think let's retrieve this into here. We've got 8,000 cargo box. Okay, let's put that up there. And what we're going to have to do is take out the hangar door. Now this room is airtight, so so it won't well, there's no air in the ship anyway, so let's just take this out. That removes the door. Right, I've got back to here, but I've still got to get the hover tank onto the other ship. Now, I suppose I could try and shoehorn it into here. Let me just try that. For the purposes of the experiment. Because I never actually checked to see whether it would dock. And will you dock here? So it's actually docked, so we've now got the ability to dock. It's just that we've got an open to space hangar. Right, I'm going to stick with that. Yeah, thank you, Cat Plus. And it's a very tight fit. Thank you, Spanj. Now comes the fun bit. Off the jetpack. Actually need some food, so we need some oxygen as well. Grab some oxygen on the way through. And I suppose I'll better pick up some food as well. Just drop that off. Wayfarer. Food. And what we're going to do now is come in here. Now, this bit I have already done in creative mode. And it did work, but it's a little bit tricky again. You can see we've now got the open hangar at the back there. I'm just going to work. We've got an orientation. And view is just now there should be enough space if I can get the landing gear of this CV on one of these side pieces. I can't remember which one it is now actually. I don't think it's that one. Let's just see if I can see the landing gear. I think I need to go forward a bit. Oh, I've still got that turret there. Okay. Let me just move the ship forward a little bit. And drop you down. Nope, you're not. Back a bit. Don't think it's working. Okay. No. I think the problem is the turret. But I'm not exactly sure. Let's have a look. Oh, jetpack on. I think it's this turret that's causing the problem. So we may have to get rid of that one there. Although technically these are retractable turrets. So if I go here. That turret retracted. Now that turret's now retracted. So if we get back up here. Now, I'm not too sure how the bounding boxes work with respect to turrets. Whether from the respect of docking a ship, those turrets, and that's still, it will allow it because although the turret is retracted, the ship may not do anything. Come on. Let's go a bit further forward. No. Let's come back a bit. And I think this is going to be one of the problems with CB to CB docking. I mean, I've tried the Hive ship in creative mode, and the docking in that can be quite difficult as well. I think I'm going to have to get rid of that turret. I think it's the bounding box that's actually giving me a problem. If I come down here, just here, get back on. Come. There's the minigun, so we're just going to retrieve you. I'm going to take this out. I mean, I'm trying to avoid having to put extra blocks on. So let's just get back into the ship. I've now taken off the turret, and we're just going to do a little bit more shuffling around. I think I need to come back one because I'm landing on that kind of the blocks at the front there. So maybe I need to come back to that second one there. Let's just come back. This one here. No, not gonna work. Definitely got to be this one. Am I still? I'm clear of that, and it looks. Oh, I've docked. I've docked, and I haven't even noticed it. Not the most elegant docking, but I'd say that we've got docking. I could probably move forward a little bit. Let me just come around this side, and you'll be able to see a bit better. So what I've managed to do is get the forward landing gear on the front there. I think we can do a little bit better than that. So let me just come here. Move forward a smidge. Oh, that might be a bit better. Yeah, looks like we've actually docked to the front. I've just managed to avoid those blocks. You can see we don't have full contact with every landing point, but I think the game will be happy with that. Hopefully. Well, we're going to test it, if nothing else. So get back here. Get on here. Turn the thrusters off. Get rid of you. And we're going to have to do. Oops. Get back on. And I can't find. There's my new capital vessel. And this is actually called the MT1, so that's what we're going to call it. MT1. Of course, we can't see anything out the front here because we've got a great big capital vessel stuck in front of us now. So we're just going to power up the thrusters. And we have the ability to move with 2 capital vessels. True, it's not elegant, but then, as I said at the beginning of the video, the idea of this is just an experiment in preparation for Alpha 12. I know it's not an elegant solution, and there's probably a few issues around it, especially the top tip that if you're going to put a hover vehicle into a hangar, make sure it actually fits before you actually do the transfer, but I think it works. More importantly, it means I've got 2 ZVs docked. I've got my places for the SVs. I've got the ability to transfer the hover tank. And this is the concept that I wanted to explore in this video because I really like Spanj's ship layout here. I really like the concept of the central tube that we'll be able to dock here. And I can't remember, somebody actually left a comment a couple of videos ago about having a space carrier. And the idea I'm thinking is that rather than have these little segments drop out like Spanj has done, is to have effectively a carrier deck coming forward of the main cockpit for the CV to land on. So effectively, you'd have the ship similar in outline to what it is now, but instead of having this gap, what you'd have is a carrier deck come through, and I really like that idea. And then along the side there would be docking bays for specialist ships, extra cargo, ships that you do need to maneuver, and of course maybe we'll have a slightly bigger hangar deck on the back as well. But I really like this, and I'm really happy with the fact that it's worked out, and even with the slight problems. I think the other thing that also this exercise emphasizes that CV to CV docking, unless you do have a big flat carrier deck, is very tricky because of the limited visibility, and they're also the same with transferring hover tanks. So I think that maybe you need something that's a little bit more better, maybe some markers or something. I mean, you could argue that you could possibly, if the actual landing deck on the top could be extended, and it might pay to have the hover tank outside. But that's all things to think about in the future anyway. I think this is where I'm going to leave it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found it interesting. If you've got any experiences on CV to CV docking and designs, feel free to chuck them in the comments. As I say, I have looked at the Hive ship, and again, the docking between the ships is an absolute nightmare, and I think Spanj is onto something a little bit better this way, and that's the reason why I want to test it. But until next time, whatever you do, enjoy your gaming.